Number 10 from worksheet 3. Unit 12, worksheet 3. Let's see. Sines and tangents. But there's a sine in both of them. So I think I will factor out the sine. And that would leave 3 tangent x plus 1 equals 0. Set both of the factors equal to 0. Sine of x equals 0. 3 tangent x plus 1 equals 0. So sine of x equals 0, that happens there and there, which would be 0 and pi. And there are other cleverer ways to write that. Like you could write this, those would combine to be 0 plus pi k, if you were really paying attention and wanted to be clever about how to write the answer. But writing it this way matches all the other sine ones. So you find the two answers and put them plus 2 pi k.
Why wouldn't we just do plus pi?
You could. For this one, you could.
Okay.
Now, for sine in general, you have to do 2 pi k. But for this particular one, since they are pi apart, you could write this, like those two together, you could write that as 0 plus pi k, and that would cover them all.
Okay.
But this would be the only sine answer where you could do that. So good question, but I hesitate to write it because generally speaking, that doesn't work for sine.
Okay.
It's just in this particular case, it would. And so it would be okay to do that. Speaking of sine, if this had been a calculator problem, and the calculator gives us one answer, how do we get the other answer for inverse sine? Pi minus. Well, it still works, even though this is a unit circle problem. One answer is 0. Pi minus 0 is pi. So that pi minus trick still works. If you get stuck on the unit circle, you can use the pi minus thing. Usually we save that for the calculator, but it still works here. All right, on to the second half of this problem. Tangent of x equals negative 1/3. That is not a unit circle value. I'll grab the calculator. Inverse tangent of negative 1/3. Negative 0.322. And how do we...
Mr. Wolf, the only time you use the calculator is if that's not a point on the unit circle.
Correct. Good question. The only time we do use the calculator is if we've got a value that doesn't look familiar over there. How do we find the other tangent values, or the other answers? Add pi k, and that will get them all. So that's a good question because it had a little factoring, a little bit of sine, a little bit of tangent, one that was unit circle, and one that was calculator. So a lot going on in number 10. In worksheet 3, number 1, did you factor it as it is, or did you do a u substitution thing?
I factored it as it is.
Okay. So 3 sine x and sine x. Oh, I think I know what happens on this one. I got to have the 3 across from the 3 to get close to 8. So minus 9 plus 1 would be negative 8. So sine of x equals negative 1/3, and sine of x equals 3. Neither of those look like unit circle values. So inverse sine of negative 1/3 is negative 0.340 plus 2 pi k. And then as we mentioned a minute ago, pi minus will get you the second answer, 3.481. plus 2 pi k. And then for the other half of the problem, sine of x equals 3. Inverse sine of 3 tells me I've got some sort of domain error. The reason is, remember sine is the y-coordinate of the unit circle? What's the highest it gets to? What's this y value right there? And what's this y value down here? -1. So sine answers will always be between -1 and 1. So when this says, find me an angle whose sine is 3, that's why your calculator says, I can't do that, that doesn't work. Wait a minute, it wouldn't be x doesn't equal nothing, x does equal nothing. There's no solutions for that part. So it's got to be between -1 and 1. If it's not, then it's no solution, or at least no solution for this part of the problem.
So would you just write no solution, or could you do like the x again?
Well, you have to be careful because you could write no solution, but you don't mean no solution for the whole problem because there are solutions to the problem. So as long as you've got this box, I'll know what you mean, but I'd be very careful writing that because that's not exactly true, right? It means true for this statement, but it's not true for problem number 1. So just be careful. Again, as long as you've got the right answers boxed, I'll know what you mean. But if you did this one first and you said no solution and then didn't finish the other one, obviously that would be wrong.